Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Self-love through freedom and connection. So feel free to connect to the brave never fall on these social media platforms. If you find anything of value in this following podcast, hit that like button, subscribe and share, and support the brave and bold tribe growing one purposeful soul at a time. How are you feeling? Take a moment to do a self-check-in for yourself. How are you feeling mentally? How are you feeling emotionally? How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling spiritually? Are you feeling balanced? Are you still journeying on an intentional, purposeful path? How are you feeling? Balancing yourself is a healthy daily practice that will reliably keep you in harmony with your entire mind, body, heart, and soul. Clear your mind. Take a moment of silence for yourself right now in the moment. You are here now. How are you feeling? How we communicate with ourselves and others works best from a mindset of optimism. It goes without saying that if you are in a healthy, positive mindset, most likely you're going to feel great physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You're going to feel more energetic. You're going to feel like life is much more fun. You're going to feel like your adventure is a great journey to be on, not something you're not looking forward to each day. What are the words that we use to communicate with ourselves? How are those things affecting us each moment? And if we're living in a place of negativity and we're being pessimistic, how is that affecting us physically? How is that affecting us emotionally? How is that affecting us spiritually? Having a mindset of positivity and optimism is a healthy thing for your body, for your emotions, for your spirit. Because you need that optimism to be able to create the life that you want, especially if the life that you want is a life that is peaceful, that is full of happiness and you've been fulfilled in what you want to do every day. It's hard to get to that place when you have negative thoughts running through your head like ticker tape every single day and you are powerless to do anything about it. Optimism is power. Positivity is power. It is self-discipline. It is self-control, and it comes from a place of self-respect for who you are and the values you stand upon. And all of that equals to self-love for yourself, which gives you the best opportunity to have a life of fulfillment and purpose. But we can cancel out all those words and all those emotions and all those things and stories we tell ourselves about each day can be canceled out in a heartbeat if we allow negativity to be a constant in our life. That being pessimistic and looking at things in a very dark, unassuming way, where we're just assuming every single day that things are going to go bad for us, that is not a healthy way to communicate with yourself. If we can find a place of optimism, we don't have to assume anything about our lives. We're creating. We're actively creating. Through optimism, those creations are going to bring you fulfillment. The way we communicate with others often mirrors how we communicate with ourselves, or not communicate with ourselves. When we communicate with others through negativity, negative feelings and mindsets are filtered through us, and without a strong, optimistic, positive core to stand against negativity with, we are defenseless from its side effects. Optimism, through self-discipline and self-control, grants us all the ability to reshape narratives of our negative acts in our own personal journeys and stories. The more optimism we have each day, the more positivity we'll create each day. We no longer fear negativity because our positivity is shielding us from it constantly, and we are actively creating a stronger shield each day. Communicating effectively with ourselves and others is powerful and essential to a healthy, optimistic, and positive mindset. To be able to express the full range of emotional dynamics we go through each day, honestly and completely, builds positive momentum in our lives. Keeps us focused on what's important to us, what makes us happy, and creates a life that is full of fun and purpose. If you live in misery, you will certainly die in misery. Live in happiness, you will certainly die in happiness. We all create and control our desired mindsets, which in turn affects us emotionally. Therefore, a positive balance is paramount. The words we choose to describe ourselves tells all. The mood we are in based off these words tells us an even larger story about who we are. We must feel free, and positivity is that freedom. What you say about yourself must mirror how you feel about yourself. A Ronin's Way of Balanced Energy, Episode 11, Communication and Optimism. As we wake up each day, we have choices to make. A lot of choices to make. Countless choices to make when you break down each and every day. If you was to sit down at the end of each day and really count up all the choices you made throughout that entire day, it would be mind-blowing to view that list from the smallest little choices to the biggest ones. And then if we made a list about all the things that we could have done that day that we thought about, actively was about to pursue and chose not to, that's another list that would be mind-blowing for you. What's on those lists are words. Words that described your day. Words that describe you. Looking at a list about all the choices you could have made that day and all the choices you did make that day adds up to a story. A little small definition of who you were in that day. What did that day say about you? And if you look at those words and you say, okay, if I had a time machine, if I could swap out some of these words, some of the things that I should have done that, could have done this, I did that, but I could have done it better. But I also look at, that was awesome that I did. That thing I did awesome. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. That person told me something and I took it to heart. I'm going to reflect on that later. You start looking at, okay, what are all the negatives on this list and what are all the positives? It's okay to look at both. It's perfectly fine. In fact, it's healthy. What's not healthy is when you only look at the negatives. When you look at your day and all you see is the failures, the missed opportunities, the should-haves, I could-have, and you don't look at the stuff that you actually did. You don't look at all the positive things that you did take action on. You don't look at the simplest thing of all. You chose to get up that morning and do something, anything. You chose to do things that were difficult for you, but you got up and you did them anyway. And you didn't even think anything of it because it's routine. Getting up and getting after it and going to work, regardless if you want to or not, it's part of your life. It's part of your story. Now we can break that down a little bit. What about that story do you love? What about that story you would like to change? You actively got up and did it. So now what are you doing to view it in a positive or negative way? And how does that affect you even further? Because you can take it another step. If it's affecting you negatively, why are you doing that thing? And why is it disciplining your life? And if you're doing it in a positive way, why are you doing that thing? Why are you doing that thing? And why is that a positive thing in your life? Then you can break it down even further. Now that I know it's a positive or negative, what can I actively do to make sure that it grows in positivity? Or I change the negativity into a positive? And then we can break it down one more step. In all, what does it say about you? What does all of that and that one action, that one thing you chose to do and might not even have thought anything about it, you just did it. What does it say about you? What words, how would that be communicated to you? If you could detach yourself from yourself and have a conversation with yourself about that moment, it's time for your after action report. You did your action. Now it's time to think about what happened there. If you could talk to yourself, how would you speak to yourself? Would you speak to yourself in a negative way? Or would you communicate with yourself in a positive way? And if it's in a communication exchange with yourself where you're like, oh man, a lot of the words I'm using are not very positive. They're actually really bad. They're really negative. It's time to explore that. And if it's super positive and optimistic, it's time to explore that too. There's this thing we have as human beings. When we get a little bit of happiness, we say, well, you know what? That's good enough. And we start telling ourselves that. The words that we communicate with ourselves is contentment. I'm comfortable. This is good enough. We don't think, how can I get more of this positivity? How can I grow this positivity? How can I grow this action? And then on the opposite side, we have the negativity side of it, where you start thinking of it as, is this me? This always happens to me, so this must be me. I'm always failing, so this must be me. And we communicate with ourselves like that. You could have done better, but you didn't because you will never do better. We tell ourselves these things. I could try this thing. I do feel like I deserve more money, but I'm not going to do it because I don't have the strength to do it. What's the point? I'm not going to get it anyway. And we go through this over and over and over again. And what's building up is a wall of self-discipline in the wrong direction. You're not building a wall that's going up. You're building a wall that's going down into the ground. You're digging and building a wall and no one can see. And it's hard because you have to dig. You're not building up against the air. You're building a wall down into the ground. And no one understands what you're doing. You don't even understand what you're doing. How we communicate with ourselves is so extremely important. The words we choose to describe ourselves with every single day is so important. How we view ourselves each and every day is so important. Because we're going to have all types of things that are going to remind us every single day that we're messing up, that we're not good enough, that we're failures, That we didn't say enough. We said too much. We didn't do enough. We did too much. We're being greedy, needy. We're not giving enough. We're just taking. We're being selfish with our potential. We're being selfish with other people. We're trying to keep people in our lives that we know we don't deserve. We're trying to keep things in our lives we know we don't deserve, that we haven't earned. Some of the things that we want to earn in life, the most important things we want to earn in life, are the things that we are going to have to walk around with every single day. Earning your happiness every day is a great feeling. It is a great reward to know that you have earned the right to be happy through hard work and self-discipline and understanding who you are, standing upon your values unconditionally, knowing who you are unapologetically, because you know you're doing things in a way that's bringing you peace and fulfillment. It's not harming anyone. It's not degrading anyone. You're not using your self-love as a weapon. You're using it as something that's going to make you happy. And if you're happy, most likely that's going to rub off on someone else. The happier you are, and you have people around you who are like-minded, they're aligned, and they're similar in values with you are, you're going to make these people happier. Which in turn, the happier they are, they're going to make you happier. Same with every place that you go to, everything that you acquire. The happier you are, the better those things are going to fit in alignment in your life. But the hard work has to be done on the inside, in the mind. When we communicate to ourselves, when we try to figure out who we are, the more things in life you can frame in a positive way, the better. The more things you can take from negativity into the positivity area, the better. Affirmations. That is why, especially when you're alone, when it's just you, a lot of these things we think about, if we're sitting here talking about positivity and we're talking about happiness, a lot of times we'll pick up on some of the words that other people say about us, or a lot of things they'll say about themselves, and we feel like we're aligned with these people. So we'll look at them and say, if this person feels this way about themselves, I should too, because I'm very aligned with this person. But there's a little bit of a dichotomy there, because this person is not you. So although we can look at them, we can mirror them, we can kind of emulate them and what they're doing to be successful, we still have to come back and believe that we are as aligned with ourselves as these people we look up to are for themselves. We have to trust and believe that who we are is actually who we are. That we're not just saying words just for saying words. You also have to feel the words. They have to be felt. You can think in your mind I'm positive, but feel negative. That's a dichotomy. That's when ownership of your thoughts and your mindset has to come into play. That's when you have to ask yourself the hard questions. I'm feeling like I should use these words, that I'm happy, and I'm content, and I'm fulfilled, and I know my purpose. But deep down inside, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. And they have to line up. Communicating the right words to yourself is one thing. The optimism you feel for yourself is another story. How the alignment between your mind and your body, your emotions, and how you truly feel means something. It means you are telling yourself a story, and you are choosing whether or not to truly buy into that story or try to rewrite it. Now, I know in the past for me, I would look at my story and say, there are so many things I need to rewrite, and if I don't get started on this stuff right now, I'm going to drown myself. I'm going to drown myself if I don't start figuring these things out. And that's the most important part about communicating with yourself positively. Why affirmations about yourself that you truly believe about yourself. Not just words, not just things that people say to make you go, oh, I feel a little better. You don't want to feel a little better. You want to be better. You want to be better. Feeling is great, but feelings go up and down. A constant is being. When you are being better, it overrides how you feel. You could feel like crap, but you know, I'm better. This is just a phase. This is something that is just happening to me. And I know I can get through this because I am believing in my mindset that I'm positive. I believe the words when I say I'm strong and I can overcome. I believe those things. Therefore, that strength goes into my body. A weak mindset is going to cause your body to crumble. It's going to cause you to be comfortable, content with the wrong things in your life. Nothing wrong with being comfortable and content with a good set of discipline, a good healthy mindset of positivity. Nothing wrong with that. I don't really like being content and comfortable with anything. I think you should always be growing, even in the positivity, especially in the positivity. You should always be trying to grow that shit, because that's where all the good stuff is. That's where life gets fun. Grow that aspect. But don't turn your back on things that are in your life that you need to change. Things that are reminding you each day, no matter how much happiness you have, it's poking at you. This little negativity thing, there's something you need to work on. And you can't ignore it. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. It's going to always be there. It's going to communicate. You're communicating with yourself. Other people will see it in you. They'll communicate it with you. You're lacking in this area. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's up to us to be able to process how people communicate with us and how we communicate with others. If we walk out every single day and we assume everybody's going to fuck us over, what type of a mindset do you think that's going to carry through you throughout the day? That's going to filter negative thoughts through you every single day. If you wake up and you think every person I meet out here, or at least most of the people I meet, are going to screw me over today. I'm going to have a bad day because this person every single day always is nagging me. This person every single day doesn't understand me. This person. Instead of just saying, you know, I can't control them, but I can't control my time around them, because again, my time is the most valuable commodity in my life. It's the most precious thing I could ever have, is my time in my life. And I'm choosing to not to spend it with these people. You do that enough, you turn the negative into a positive. Now, they may communicate with you, hey, you're being negative. You're not spending enough time with me. Well, there's a dichotomy. That's their problem. They have to figure that out for themselves, and what that means for them, and what you're communicating with them says about them. This is all, again, like we talked about in the last podcast. Your forward momentum is always going to be bumping up against someone else's forward momentum if you have people in your life. Their forward momentum may be full of negativity and going nowhere. Yours may be full of positivity and going somewhere. But you don't know that until the clash happens. Now, you can keep bumping up against these people, or we can fix the problem. And how we fix the problem is communication. How you communicate with other people is extremely important. It is extremely as important as your mindset you have for yourself. Because how you communicate with other people would dictate what you're getting out of the communication in the first place. What is the goal of communicating with people if the outcome comes out to be negative? Is that what you're looking for when you go into communicating with someone? If you're going to have a conversation with someone, is your mindset, this conversation is going to be negative? If your mindset is that, and you enter the conversation with it like that, your outcome is going to most likely be negative. Unless you two are really good at communicating, you're really aligned, and you know, hey, this is going to be a negative conversation, but we can pull some positives out of there. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that, because then you're not thinking about the negative. It may be negative context, but the outcome, the reward is that we're going to reach a resolution of positivity. And if you can have those same conversations with yourself, when you can go into your mind and say, we're going to explore this aspect about myself, but we're not going to enter this with a negative mindset. I'm going to explore some things about myself, and I'm going to find some positive outcomes that I can work towards, because I know this is a negative thing about myself. This is something negative that I went through. Somebody's in my life that's negative, but I'm going to find a healthy, peaceful resolution for myself first. And hopefully, if I can find it for myself, I'm offering that same thing to the other person or the group of people. But how you view yourself and how you communicate with yourself first dictates that. Positivity is all about creating the positivity, staying in it, creating it in a way where it's self-discipline, where everything you do has a desired outcome of being positive. Everything, every moment, you should think, no matter what happens, there's going to be a ton of positives that comes out of it, and I'm going to create those to ensure that they do happen. That's called detachment. That's you breaking it down before you even begin. What are the positives I can get out of this conversation before we even start? If this person starts to get a little bit wild and start yelling at me, or they're stressed out, I have a choice to walk away. That's a positive. I'm not going to engage in it. You've already entered the conversation in a positive way, because you've already chosen for yourself, I'm not going to engage in negativity. I'm only going to speak in positivity with this person. And if this person or these group of people come at me with negativity, I have the choice and the option of walking away, which is a positive thing for me. And they have to figure out how they're going to get their positives out of that conversation. It's not up to you to figure out other people's happiness. It's up to you to figure out your own happiness. Optimism is one of those keys. Living in optimism and having optimism be a self-disciplinary constant in your life is something that is extremely helpful and useful because it's a self-discipline thing. It's a mindset. It is a value. It's you saying, I'm always optimistic. It doesn't matter what happens to me. I'm always going to find a healthy, peaceful solution because I'm standing on my values. And as long as I execute everything through the values that I have for myself, if those values are positive, your actions, your creation, your mindset, your blueprint of the life you want is going to be positive. Now, everything else that we add in that we can't control, that can influence that or reshape or dictate the flow that we have in positivity, because we will have some tension. Things do pop in our lives where it's going to bump us. It's going to knock us off to the side. It's going to make us rethink something. It's going to make us have to make a decision. It's going to make us have to make a big choice at a big moment. It's going to have to make us rethink some things about our lives that we thought were positives that could be turned into negatives. We're going to have to shield ourselves from the potential of having a negative mindset, of having a life of being pessimistic and thinking that everything that happens throughout the day is happening for a reason because you're just doomed and it's meant for you to be in misery. It's meant for you to be unhappy and it's meant for you to have bad values and it's meant for you not to work on yourself. If you have that mindset, of course, you're going to struggle every single day. Life will always seem extremely hard instead of simple. You can simplify life by understanding first and foremost who you are and what you stand upon. Then everything else is just based on that. But there's another element, and that is the physical part of you. All of that is great, but if you don't have it all balanced out, and there's something missing, and you feel like your energy level is down, or you're missing something spiritually, or you're emotionally a wreck, and things feel erratic, of course, all those things looked upon as individual things, but if you stack them together, that stack is going to stack up to a bunch of negativity. So as you look at other things, you have to find positive things about yourself as well to get you over the hump. Because we're all human. We're going to have days where we're going to feel like shit. We're going to feel down. We're going to feel like we don't have anything to work on, to build upon. We're going to see things in our lives as unchangeable. We're going to have people in our life where we think we just cannot get rid of them. They won't change. They don't understand me. But we always have a choice. And that choice is, what will you do ultimately for your happiness based around your obligations in life? Because we do have obligations. We can't just be so selfish where we're only thinking about ourselves. And people think self-love is the selfishness in us. You know, you have so much self-love that it's almost coming off as selfish. And that's not what the case is. Self-love is also based around your priorities in life. What are the obligations to the people, places, and things in your life that, although you are free from those things, you are connected, again, through freedom and connection. We can only be so free in life. We can be free in ourselves, but we're still connected through choice, by the way. We're still connected to other people. You can choose to say, you know what, I don't want to be my family anymore and go move to another country and live on an island. If that's what you want to do, everybody has the choice to do that. If you want to live under a bridge for the rest of your life, you have a choice to do that. If you want to reach billionaire status, you have a choice to do that at the sacrifice of maybe seeing everyone in your life. You may say, I'm going to work around the clock until I get it. That's your choice. But you have obligations, and those things shape us as well. We have to always, it's just like the solar system and the moons and the stars. Everything is its own thing, but it's all connected and moving in its own way. It has to work, though. If there are obligations and things in your life and people in your life and things seem very hard and you have to work really hard at it and things just don't seem like they're aligning, you have to make the decision, is this me? I got to ask myself and communicate with myself through optimism. What is the best way for me to move forward with these people, places, and things in my life, and what needs to go and what must stay? Communication is everything. When we always look at communication with other people, we don't look at communication with ourselves. The communication with ourselves is the most important conversation you can have. People have skills in communicating with other people. People learn how to fake it. People know how to say the right words at the right times to other people. It's a much harder skill to say the right words in the right time, at the right times to yourself, when you need to be at your best communicating with yourself the most. You can't be fake with yourself. We can be fake with other people. We can fake it. We can twist and turn. We can lie and deceive. We can be people who try to control and manipulate. You do that to yourself, and you're just begging to have a life that's extremely hard, full of struggle and unfulfillment. No purpose, no peace, no joy, definitely no happiness. And you won't have the choice to be alone. You will be alone. You'll be alone not only in the external with people, but you're going to be alone with yourself. You're going to feel empty and hollow. And that is a very dark, scary place to go. And I think anyone who's listening to this, we know what that place is. We've all had that empty, dark, hollow feel in ourselves where we just know, regardless of what was going on in the outside world, we didn't do ourselves any favors because of our mindset, our choices, our emotional states, our lack of belief in ourselves, physically not doing ourselves any favors. We're just a very unhealthy, unbalanced individual. And oftentimes that's what it takes to get to a place where you understand, okay, I either want to change or I don't want to change. I either want to fight for my happiness and earn it or I don't. Then the conversation becomes incredibly, incredibly important as a focal point, because that mindset has to change. You have to start changing the way you believe the world is around you, the people around you, the things around you. You have to start saying those things are important, but I'm the most important person in my life. And my communication with myself, what I tell myself, has to be believable to myself. It will take care of itself for everyone else to believe it. I don't want to impress anyone else. I don't want to let down anyone else. But right now, I have to focus on myself. I have to find the right words, the right stories to tell myself. I have to communicate with myself in an optimistic way, constantly, through self-discipline. Because I know I'm better than not doing that. I know I am better than to not think that way. I know I am better than to not live that way. I know I am better than to not be that way. Being optimistic is where you want to be. Not just having it turn on and off like a light. You want it there constantly. Self-discipline. No matter what, life is good for me first. It always comes down to you. What are you going to do? No matter what happens on the outside influences, the outside people, the places and things, all the things in your world that you see every single day, ultimately it's always going to come back to you. The choices you make, the communication you have with not only yourself, but with others, how you choose to present yourself, how you choose to tell your story, how you choose to be your story, through optimism, through a place of real, pure optimism, where no matter what, you're going to get through it. No matter what, you're going to be happy. It makes you strong. It empowers you to be this way. That's leveling up. When you can get to a place where, life sucks and you know it sucks, but there's joy to be found. There's good people with value that are in your life. There are good places that you can go to get a peace of mind. There's plenty of ways to create fulfillment, purpose, and happiness in your life. That story you tell yourself and how you communicate with yourself is going to be so important to obtaining that and keeping it a constant in your life through self-discipline. We are who we are. If you believe you suck, you most likely are going to create that version of yourself. If you believe you're a winner, you're going to inevitably create that version of yourself. Because you will be it. You will be whatever it is you're communicating to yourself that you are. If you're a winner, be a winner. If you suck, then suck. That's a choice you're making for yourself. Being optimistic is belief, it's trust in yourself. Communicate to yourself all of the trust you have for yourself through affirmations is important. And to truly dive into them, break those affirmations down and really how they apply to you. And how do you truly feel about your mindset? Are you just thinking it? Or is something that you truly believe in your heart? That's who you are. That's your story. And if you don't like that story, communicate with yourself in ways where you can change it. Rewrite the story. That is the best thing you can do in any situation, is to go into any situation saying, no matter what negative thing that's going to happen, I'm going to rewrite it in the moment. We don't even have to wait for this, baby. You can just do it right then and there. You can make choices right then and there that can turn that negative situation into a positive. But it takes discipline and a constant state of optimism and good communication with yourself through affirmations that you have for yourself, beliefs that you have in yourself that you live by and you are being through every single day. There are no exceptions. There are no rearranging. There's no setbacks. Forward momentum. Life is going to keep punching you, kicking you, yelling at you, screaming at you, communicating with you in a very negative way if you allow it to. But we can shut out all that noise through a self-discipline of optimism. The beautiful, beautiful pursuit of earning your happiness. And not only earning it, obtaining it and maintaining it and then growing it. Now you're living a life of fulfillment because you're growing every single day. Every single day is a new day to grow in optimism, no matter what's happening. You have to tell yourself that, communicate that to yourself every single day. I am living through optimism. I am living through a life that is growing in a positive way. And the only person that can affect that, change that, rearrange it, knock it down is me and the way I communicate with myself. If I'm living in a negative mindset and I'm communicating all types of pessimistic ideas, theories, and creations in my mind, that's exactly what I'm going to end up being. A creation of negativity. Creation of positivity comes from the self-discipline of optimism and the positive affirmations through communication about who we are to ourselves first. We take in everything. We take nothing for granted. We filter through the negative stuff. We acquire, obtain, and grow the positive things. We have but one life on this planet to get ourselves right, to get as close to as perfect of a person as we can possibly be while we're still growing. Your path is an adventure. It should be fun. It should be looked upon with light, optimism, and love. You should live to love and love to live. And if that's not happening to you, you have to rethink how you communicate to yourself. Your mission for today is to figure out what is your story when it comes to optimism and the communication you tell yourself. On average, each day, do you have a centered place of optimism, or are you more pessimistic? Do you feel you're more centered in positivity, or you're more geared towards negativity? think about all the little small things you do each day. And particularly think about all the things you've done so far today. Have you approached each and every one of those things with a choice of a desired outcome? Meaning everything that you started to do today, every task, small or big, you went into it with a mindset. Try to identify what those mindsets were when you went into each action. Every time you do something small, a small chore, you write out a to-do list, you have to go to work, you have to pick up the kids, whatever it is. What is your mindset whenever you enter an action? Are you looking at it through a lens of positivity? Or are you looking at it through a lens of negativity? Are you more optimistic that good things are going to happen when you do this task? Or are you determined that something bad is going to happen? And that's your mission, to identify what is the story playing on average in your mind whenever you approach any decision you make throughout the day. And if it is something you can pick up and identify, should you grow the positivity, or should you start figuring out ways to let go of the negativity? But the key is to figure out what's your story in that and how you're communicating with yourself. This is your day. You are here now. These are your moments. You own them. You are brave, bold, powerful. You do believe in yourself. You know you have more in the tank. You know the glass is half full. There is still more room for improvement. There is no end. Believe, believe, believe in yourself. You do believe in yourself. You do believe you can do whatever it takes to get the job done. You don't procrastinate. You don't embellish. You don't lie. You're true to yourself. Peace is in your mind. Peace is in your heart. Peace is in your body. It is definitely in your soul. You are greatness. You have purpose. Intentful purpose. You are here for a reason. You are ambitious. You are loving. You are kind, empathetic, compassionate. You are self-love. You have self-control, self-respect. You are joy, peace, freedom, happiness. You are connected to everything in this world and in this universe. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall. Learn, laugh, and level up.